Hello, my name is Molly McClish, and I would like to talk with you about a social impact company that I am starting called Lily's Hope, in honor of my daughter, Lily McClish, who committed suicide this year, January 26th of 2017. First, let me tell you a little bit about Lily. Lily was a kind, caring, empathic person from the time she was born. She was bright, joyful, full of life, and full of spunk. She was an incredible artist. She loved art. It was one of her favorite things to do, along with riding horses and playing with her rats or walking the dogs. She was known for being a empathic, kind person. And after she died, we looked back trying to determine when things changed for Lily, when we saw a shift in her personality. And Lily began to be depressed shortly after coming out as a lesbian, just before her 6th grade year. And this was a result of realizing she was part of a group of people who were not treated well in our society, and especially in our state. She slowly became more depressed. We had surrounded her with love. She was warmly loved and supported and accepted and valued for who she was. Her depression became much worse as she started 7th grade. She complained often about what she was witnessing at school, what she saw in the classroom, what she saw happening amongst her peers. She saw people not allowing or not accepting and definitely not loving anyone who didn't fit in the box, but especially those who were LGBTQIA. This pushed her into a deeper darkness. And although she had been self-harming, and she showed me those cuts at the beginning of her 7th grade year, we got her into therapy with a therapist who had experience in this area, and she was surrounded by adults who loved and cared for her and encouraged her. However, the situation at school was very different. It was an environment that was not accepting, that was rampant with meanness and bullying. And she didn't have any faith in reporting because she didn't believe anything would get better. She, in fact, believed things would get worse. And although she seemed like she was doing better, she had stopped cutting, she was drawing instead, but we all believed that she was doing better and that she would make it. And then on January 26th, I found her dead. And in that moment, the very fabric of my being, of my reality, and of that of everyone who loved her was ripped away, shattered, every part of our being destroyed. And as we struggled through this loss, 3 months later, I would find out from her friends what she had experienced in school. And she had experienced regular heckling for her self-harming. And the day before I found her, she was told repeatedly to kill herself by a group of boys, over and over, relentlessly, as one of her friends said. And while this was reported to the school, it was not communicated to me or my family, and it was not reported. It was not recorded, and there were no consequences given, nor was there therapy given. So in response, I reached out, trying to understand what was really happening in our schools. It became clear that we had a problem. So I immediately began to address this with our school district. The 5 necessary components of real change, which must be in place, and I do believe need to be mandated, by states, because many districts won't address these things. These have come from my experience, Lily's experience, what I experienced and know from teaching in the schools for the last few years, as well as from the stories of others of what has been lacking and where the failure has happened. First is surveys, anonymous surveys. We don't know how children feel if we're not asking them. And they need to feel safe to express how they're feeling and what they're experiencing. And that can only happen with anonymity, which is possible. Policies. Our policies must have a clear discipline matrix so that there cannot be favoritism within our schools in terms of how children are disciplined and the consequences that are given. And we must recognize that we have to protect LGBTQ youth as well as any other high-risk population in our policies. And restorative justice must be a component of any disciplinary action that is around a violent infraction of school rules, like bullying, because bullying is violence. Which leads me to the third component, school-based therapists. Bullying is violence, and violence is a mental health issue for the bully, for the victim, and for any witness. School-based therapists have the training to understand and the expertise to know what is truly going on and how to truly help all of these people who may be involved in any situation of violence. Although administrators and teachers have years and a wealth of experience with children, they are not therapists, and this is a mental health issue. So if we truly want to help and we want to change things, we have to have school-based therapists. Training. Trainings are lacking in schools. Often they are a quick online class or a quick summary of a handbook. We need thorough, comprehensive trainings for how to prevent bullying, how to report, and the procedures for following through, as well as trainings in suicide prevention and in the high risk faced by LGBTQ youth, because they experience bullying at a much greater rate than their heterosexual peers. And they also consider and attempt suicide at a much higher rate than their heterosexual peers. There also needs to be accountability. Accountability is critical. You cannot have voluntary compliance, which is the way that it is in Utah right now. Accountability needs to be trained as well. Teachers need to be trained on their own accountability and on accountability, holding their administrators accountable for dealing with these incidents in a way that is effective. And they need to know they are safe to report if that is not happening. They also need to know where to go if they're not receiving the training that they need. Because teachers are where we have found in our surveys, students are most likely to share what's going on for them and experiences of bullying. There has to be, from the top down, resources and time and implementation of accountability measures for all schools, for all school districts, from the school boards to the administrators, the superintendent down. And accountability can only happen if there are people in place who are ensuring that trainings are effective and thorough and hands-on, that students are being asked how they feel, that there are policies in place that protect all students. Our new superintendent was very proactive and immediately began working on the solutions that I had researched and presented to our school board. Policies have been changed, surveys have been implemented, procedures and protocol for how to address bullying, mandatory communication, all of these things have been put in place since. And it became clear to me that we had a problem not only in our district, but statewide. Because in Utah, we have more than twice the national average. I believe had some of these 5 necessary components that I've identified as being essential if we want to address this problem. If they had been in place, I do believe Lily would still be here. and I would still get to love her and experience watching her grow every day. I don't want any other parents to experience this, and although I know I can't stop that entirely, we all can do something to make it better. I have a website that I've started. It is in the works. It's not completed. I want to thoroughly develop this as a resource to connect other parents, community members, teachers, citizens with steps that they can take to change the situation and the culture in their own schools, as well as on the state level. And I believe it all starts with us. It begins with you. It begins with me. We have to look at our own kindness, because as adults we see that meanness and bullying is part of our culture. It has become rampant and a cultural norm, which is not okay. That is not the world that gave Lily hope. It was the world that made her feel hopeless and that no one cared. So I am also starting a food trailer, a donut trailer. It will be called Eat Sweet, Be Sweet. The idea to, through everything that we produce, from the donuts, putting sweetness in your mouth, hoping to inspire sweetness coming out of your mouth, the packaging, everything, to reiterate and spread information about kindness and about this work of protecting all of our youth, which I intend to take to different events and festivals throughout my state to spread this information and to spread a message of kindness, because kindness transcends everything. Kindness transcends all faiths, all colors, all identities. Kindness is about humanity, and it's something that we can all do and we can all contribute if we want to make this a world that is truly safe for all students, all children, all people. I believe that we can do it, and I need your help. We have a GoFundMe site, which you can find a link to with this video, as well as a donation link on the website, lilieshopeforkindness.com. We also have merchandise that you can purchase to support this work. Hats coming soon, cards intended to spread that message of gratitude to people who are kind, and tank tops, hoodies, and more will be coming. Please help me get this donut trailer going, finish my website so that these resources can be available to help others and guide them through the process and help connect them with the information they may need to make change in their own school. Kindness can change things, but we have to be specific about what kindness means and how that looks in our schools. Help me promote creating a cultural shift and promote kindness so that we can create hope and offer hope to those who feel hopeless. Thank you.